We got some amazing news for you for trucking 2023. I've heard a lot of owner operators and drivers saying that everybody is making a dime of them, and we are the only ones suffering.
We're all suffering.
We're all suffering. So,
that's
yay! We're all suffering.
all right. So what's pretty interesting is there's different factors why we're suffering, right? But you know what? I always hear rates, carriers. Everybody's making $1 off of you, but you know what? A lot of people don't ever talk about is insurance. Somehow they get away without getting any of the blame, right? Or like it's not topic of choice all the time. It's just kind of what is. It's accepted. But anyway, it is what it is. But here's what's interesting. We have a good connect in the insurance world. Very 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 big nationwide insurance company. So we call them just to kind of touch bases and see what the climate is and what the temperature is. And now this guy, his expertise is carriers between 1 to 25 trucks. So that's the size fleets that he has. And we talked about some of the biggest things that are affecting these guys and what's going on in his world. There are a lot of these guys closing their authorities and all of that. And so he's definitely for sure feeling the pain, and he's seeing it. He's seeing that a lot of these guys are having to adapt their business, and he's seeing what his clients have been doing is 15 truck company, rather than closing it, but to kind of adjust and offset price. He's downsizing his fleet to 6 and taking 6 trucks off of his insurance and leasing them on to somebody, and a couple other customers of his are actually going on to agents. So they're becoming agents for somebody else. So they're not closing the shop, but they have to readjust to kind of get some of this cost under control.
Yeah, because I think for downsizing to begin with, this is the time where every carrier has to recalculate certain challenges, because there is always some trucks in any fleet that are not quite making it. So from owner operator's perspective, if you talk to me like 20 years ago, I think if I have a truck, I'm making you money,
right?
Even though I didn't
make you money,
it didn't pull a single load, but especially in this market, there is a threshold. So if certain trucks are not producing anything, we become a liability. We drain the resources of the trucks that are actually moving. Mm-hmm. And I can very well see how, if I'm gonna, instead of keeping this guy on board, it's gonna be actually less financially destructive to take that truck out of my fleet and cancel the insurance, return the trailer.
Yeah, because you got that trailer rental fee on that.
Yeah. Yep. And plus now, if we add dispatching, safety, this, that, everything else, maybe you need less people in the office and the whole 9 yards. So everything counts. Everything counts. Penny plus penny. We are in penny business, and that's how it works. And for larger fleets, whatever, 15, 25-ish, once we do that, initial cutting of fat of those non-producing units, if we already in a big distress, meaning that the insurance renewal is just around the corner, do we have money to put for a down payment, the plates renewal, the equipment, we're running really short on the operational cash, and repairs and everything else becomes a real burden. Joining another carrier as a agent, because the hardest part of work is already done. It's not easy to build a fleet of 15 to 25 trucks.
No.
And if you did that, that means you are already kind of have what it takes. You are a solid businessman. Maybe just less fortunate in this case, but instead of just letting it all burn, becoming an agent is a real option, I think.
Yeah, and then that's what he's saying. So based off of his customers, again, from that size, from 1 to 25, there's so many scenarios that he's seeing. He's like, he's like, listen, I even had guys that did everything properly, but they didn't lock down a haul source. They didn't anticipate. And here's an insurance guy getting this. Like his clients are expressing it to him. He's like, the guys never locked down a haul source. So when it comes down time to work, they did everything right, man. The UCR, the MC, all the paperwork is good, insurance, all that. But they don't, now customers, brokers won't work with them for 90 days. And all of that trickles down to now they couldn't afford the premium. So he's like, man, grand opening, grand closing. So he's like, so sometimes to a lot of his customers, he suggests these things and guys listen, it's, they listen because there's more than just factors than what leads up to this moment, right? So he's like, some guys growing too aggressively, too fast in the first year leads to the destruction. And, in their minds while it's happening, they think they're doing great. And you are, right? As a businessman, as a carrier, hey, man, I went from 6 to 15 trucks in 1 year.
And believe me, we've been there as well. And, man, it sucks when you're pushing really hard. You are adding on units, which means you're probably doing a good job because people are using your company for their business.
Right.
And then it feels like you're getting punished by insurance for doing too good.
Yeah.
However, the problem is from insurance perspective, and if you ask me, we're always wrong. But from insurance perspective, you growing too aggressively to them, I totally disagree. It means you may having too many shortcuts. Maybe you are not as strict on safety. Maybe you're not as picky for onboarding the drivers. And it all doesn't have to be accurate because our safety standards, our driver approval process hardly ever changes. It's always pretty solid, industry standard. But here we go. In their book, it says, hey, you're probably doing something wrong if you're growing too fast.
Yep. And even with that, he talks about their safety score that's going to impact it. So even if you are being diligent about onboarding, being thorough, and all of that, all it takes is a few guys to get hit at the scales on your first year, man, and you got some tough questions to answer and talk your way out of that.
Yes, and sometimes, and I've been in that position as well, to where you're like, all right, the insurance renewal comes in, and the insurance guy says like, okay, this guy is a problem. And you're like, but this is my best running guy.
Yes.
And we're like, this guy is a problem. There are some, bad inspections, maybe some tickets, maybe some claims. The claims not even necessarily attached to your company.
No, it's the loss runs.
And the records.
Yeah.
It can be done like way, way in the back. And once we see it, the challenge with that is, I even tried that. Okay, so charge me more for this truck. But it doesn't work like this.
Right.
We either don't even have an option for this driver, or, okay, you want to keep him, but every truck on the fleet, because of this one driver, the insurance is going up by $5,000 a year.
And I don't guarantee you a renewal.
Oh, of course, yeah. And I don't guarantee you your non-cancellation. By the way, if you guys don't know, some of you may be newer to business or hasn't been, exposed to as many tragic stories. Same time, it's one thing a non-renewal, and another thing is not canceling. If you get your insurance canceled somewhere inside the term, let's say halfway through, a month through, 10 months through, you're not even probably going to get a quote. Or you will get a quote from some very, very predatory insurance companies that are actually, in trucking industry, we call them graveyard companies. We will give you the quote, we will insure you, and we will put you to sleep. Because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. We will drain all your resources. And thank you very much.
And I wonder, do brokers know who they are, and they won't work with you sometimes?
Absolutely,
Okay.
and not just that. I don't want to get sued or anything, but I know couple of insurance companies that if you had insurance through them, it's same as you had your insurance canceled. Because everybody who's going to look at it, we're going to say, all right, if this trucking company had this insurance, that means nobody in the market
Would insure him.
would insure him.
Yeah.
And here we go.
There you go. So, moral of the story: adjust now, and you have to adjust later. Welcome to trucking. That's how it has to get done. So you have guys that made it, 25 trucks, had to downsize a little bit due to the market rates in the industry, uncontrollable factors. But nevertheless, these guys are pushing forward, and he's hoping for a better year towards the end of the year. Again, that's from the insurance company side, their point of view. But nevertheless, we're here to share just a different perspective. But it's the same challenges. at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
because these guys, we see stuff that we do not see. We kind of feel it because we are in this business, in this market. We've been around the block. But these guys, we insure those startup carriers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we see it every single day. If we're running off data of like 25 carriers that we know the story of, how that worked out or didn't,
Yeah.
these guys, we deal with 25 carriers a day coming on and off.
Yeah, so and then there you go, because like again, guys, that's another business. So he didn't share this with me, but I'm pretty sure we're we've been around the block, like you said. So now you got guys falling off because they opened their own authority in really good times, right? The rates were super high, and now all of a sudden, premiums aren't being met, and people are closing up shop and being canceled or whatever. But what happens to a company that loses money?
Same thing.
You look to make money, right? Somehow you have to offset those losses. So what about all the companies that are still staying with him? Now those insurance hikes for existing customers, they bounce off to kind of offset people leaving. So it's just business. That's how it works. That's how it runs. I mean, unfortunately, without insurance, none of this happens. So
Yeah, and at the same time, I think the insurance rates will adjust a little bit. But I think before we will adjust, the first reaction will actually be raising the cost of insurance to compensate for the losses of the outgoing carriers. Because we're going to look at it from sales perspective. There's going to be a group of people in the conference room, and we're going to be like, hey, we did a gazillion dollars in 2021, and we only half of that in 2022. What's the projection for 2023? Oh, it's 1/4 of that. Oh, crap. Let's raise the price.
And not just that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of, I don't want to say monopoly, but at the same time, like, if you're there and they're going to hike it, they know, what are you going to do? Stand up and go somewhere else? How many times can you do that?
Yes, because at the same time, like, I don't want to be the conspiracy theorist, but more or less, out of all these insurance companies that are doing trucking, we owned probably by 10, 15 mega businesses that owns all these companies.
There you go, just different branches.
Yeah, exactly. Because I remember a couple of different insurances that we had that, I think Milwaukee Casualty, I think that's Progressive. That's just an example.
Yeah.
Like, nothing against them, nothing for. As a matter of fact, Milwaukee Casualty was pretty good. Good job. Progressive, however, not so good. But here we go, owned by the same company.
Yeah, but
Very different experiences.
that's what happened. Like, let's say Milwaukee Casualty can't hold you anymore because you're too risky. They're like, hey, but I got a sister company that can hold you. Here you go. It's one tier down.
Yes,
but it's
yes.
the same. It's mom and dad, man.
Yes.
So here we go. But switching gears, we're talking about the market. That's the insurance perspective on that. Truck prices. What you think is going on with that?
Truck prices are way too high.
Muy alto, man.
So basically, guys, truck prices, we have a whole list of truck prices right here, sent to us by some people that we know. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to go into those prices right now, but I can tell you that, in my opinion, on this whole list of available trucks, how many did I pick up? 5?
Yeah, 5.
I picked up 5 trucks that I say, okay,
Maybe.
maybe. Everything else is just not up to my standard. Like I'm just not gonna. And again, I'm a Volvo guy.
I was gonna say coincidentally, it's 4 Volvos that he would pick.
Hey, but and as a matter of fact, I'm being like extremely fair because usually I have nothing good to say about Kenworths and Peterbilts, but one of those trucks is actually Kenworth.
Yeah, one was that. One was that. The rest
And
Volvos.
4 Volvos. but anyway, guys, we're gonna actually go to visit our friend at Aero Truck Sales here in Tampa, Florida. Some of you who's been around this channel already seen him in this studio as well as at Aero Truck Sales. We did a few interviews. So if we're gonna check the pricing, we're gonna check the inventory, we're gonna check the deals, the financing, the whole 9 yards. As a matter of fact, based on the conversation that we had, apparently we had some really nice down payment program.
Yeah, which offsets the high price of the truck, but it's definitely a good program. Yeah.
Yes, because some of those trucks on the list, I would say, okay, if I can negotiate, I don't know, $5,000 of the price, and get that down payment deal to where we pay half of your down payment, it's all right. I can live with that.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So you guys stay tuned for that. We're gonna dig a little deeper. They do a nice job of explaining in detail what trucks they have and the specs on them. So stay tuned for that. That's gonna be up on our next video.
Maybe not next video, but in the works, like probably within the next week or two.
There you go. So we got a field trip coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, if you have any questions, because a lot of times, like we go there and we would say, what's at our interest? Like, hey, how easy it is to finance? What is the price?
Where the Volvos?
Where are the Volvos? And what's the inventory, right?
Yeah.
But you guys may have more specific questions. So if you have any of those, post them under any video that we're going to be talking about this trip coming up, and we will make sure that we can address those questions once we are there at the Aero in Tampa.
And they're pretty good guys with that. I mean, even if you're concerned about credit score or something along the financing, put it there, because these guys will even tell you sometimes outside financing is better than inside financing. Their job is to roll metal, guys. So all questions are valid.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys know the best, because also one thing that I somewhat knew it, but we got it confirmed the last time we went there. Sometimes your credit score is not everything.
No.
Your stability is worth a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So being stable with the same carrier, being financially secure, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Having a regular, consistent income, or perhaps when we need that what's it called,
Letter of intent.
Letter of intent. A lot of times, if we know the carrier that the individual financing the truck is going to, it's going to be so much easier.
Yeah, because think about it, just like anything else, right? The underwriter's focus changes as the market changes. So
absolutely.
They're going to look for different details in different time, depending if money's cheap or money's expensive to buy right now.
Yes, the only thing that we've been drumming across this channel for all this time, if you have a truck, do not lose it. Do not get it repoed. Because if you feel like the world is taking advantage of you, which we just told you, you're not alone in this. Truck dealers feeling it. Insurance brokers feeling it. Freight brokers feeling it. I know it's a very popular common theme to say everybody's stealing money. The freight brokers are stealing money. No, that's your sales team for hire. Look at this way. Because if you would have to do it on your own, how much it would cost you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's fair or not fair. None of that. I'm just saying when running a business, you want to focus on how much you make. You don't really want to focus on how much who makes. But I think when the market is tough, if you when you start a work week with a mindset that everyone there is ripping you off, It just makes it that much harder. So now that you know that, if you have a truck, keep it. Because even if you need another truck, that repo will shut all your doors. And you will be limited to Schneider.
Yep. Somewhere where it's in house and man that they can keep you on a short leash.
And it's never built around your success. It's actually, I'm not gonna say it's built to rip you off. No, I think what's it built around is that we have such a abnormal turnover of the people that are coming. We want to try to do it. We don't quite have what it takes. We drop it. All that costs so much money that whatever we build into that package has to compensate for every single truck that was dropped.
Yeah, I think it's built around that this truck will be reseated, not that somebody's gonna end up actually buying it.
Yes.
It's based around this truck will be reseated probably at least 7 times before somebody actually owns it.
Yes, and do you really want to be a guy, reseating that truck for the 7th time?
No, you do not.
Yeah. So here we go. So I think now that you know that everybody is struggling, maybe it's going to be easier for you to actually be more open-minded for focusing on your own business and keeping it open, because the good days, we somewhere just around the corner. I'm not going to act like I know the date and time, but this will not last forever. Like, I believe we are probably on the second half of it. Guaranteed. Like, for sure.
There we go.
Because, that moment, some of you who dispatched, or some of you that are booking your own freight, that moment when you call the broker and you're inquiring about the load. And when in the healthy market, the conversation goes either like, hey, this is what I got, take it or leave it. Or sometimes when it's in your favor, you're like, hey, this is what I need, pay it or keep calling. Mm-hmm. But there is a moment when you contacting the broker without any hope to really nail something good. Like, you're already calling, like this is going to be just bullshit. But wait, you hear that same attitude from the other end, to where the broker that's talking to you, he has no hope to cover it for what he has in it.
Yeah.
This is the turning point. That's when you can expect. It's not from that point on, when you start feeling that, it's not going to happen tomorrow, but in about a month, there's going to be a shift.
The shift is needed.
The shift is needed. And as a matter of fact, hey, look, did you guys see the video of a boat yesterday? Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, some people are parked, others, because we're not parked. We have a boat in their parking spot.
There you go.
Because now this guy probably going to come back from the trip. He's going to park his truck. He's going to hook up to his little beautiful boat, the bass boat.
And go fishing.
And he's going to go fishing.
And then the other guys are not.
And the other guy is just going to keep crying. Crying, blaming, suffering. And again, nothing against the guys about these trucks that are parked there. I think the story goes something along the lines, like, for real, if we cut all the bullshit out, story goes along the lines, like, I think one guy is looking for a driver.
Yeah.
I think both guys are looking for drivers.
Yeah, because that's a whole new other video topic. Finding drivers, not as easy as it sounds, my people. It's actually easier to buy the truck. I think we all know that by now.
Oh, absolutely. And the passive income,
Nah.
don't even think about it. You're either in or out.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, this is all we got for this video. I think it's been a minute since we've done one of those longer standard videos. If you are an owner-operator, if you are a fleet owner, or even a small carrier based out of Central Florida area, and the topics that we talked about rings a bell to you, and you kind of want to see if we have any options available for you, any business opportunities, give Christian a call.
863-342-5171. Look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, we are located just a couple miles south of Lakeland in a beautiful Mulberry, Florida.
Trucking capital of Florida.
trucking capital of the world.
There we go.
And we have all the bells and whistles that you need for your business success. Just bring your truck, bring your fleet, bring your professionalism, and leave your pessimism with Schneider.
All right, guys.
All right,
We'll see
guys.
you soon. Drive
Take
safe.
care. Bye.